Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Truth About B2B Sales. My name is Henry Walton. I'm here with my brother and business partner, the formidable Richard Walton. Hi, Rich. How you doing?
Good.
So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about splintering the ICP under pressure. So, ICP, ideal customer profile. Rich, explain what we mean by splintering it under pressure.
Well, if you have a good ICP, that means you've narrowed down your target market. You spend some work on developing your go-to-market strategy. You know who your customers are deeply, and then for whatever reason, things start to slow down. Maybe it's an economic downturn, seasonality. There's a number of reasons, and we see that all the time. A lot of people's gut reaction is, I need to bring in revenue quickly. It's going to be a lot easier if I start just spreading the net wider. And the danger of that actually is that, and I think this is similar to when you start a business, is that you initially get some wins. But then quite quickly, what may happen is that you don't have an ICP, you don't have a strategy, and you might have multiple different sales and operating processes. So it's very, very common, and this happens all the time. We see it, but actually I think the opportunity is actually to double down on your ICP when you're under pressure. It can be hard, but I think there's, looking at what works, doubling down on it, and looking to fix it and improving it rather than trying to start new things. That's kind of what it means to me.
I always think this one's an interesting one because you might get some quick wins, but I think what people often miss in this, depending on like the maturity of your company and your product, if you have been servicing a particular segment and if you've been thinking about a particular segment for quite a long time, it's likely that you've built a lot of your marketing, your messaging, your sales process, how you talk about your products, your features, even like your product, how you present it for that segment. And then the presumption is, just because there's a kind of opportunity there in another segment, that's going to be a clean swap and it's going to be a quick win. In my experience, actually, a lot of the time it does the opposite, because then what you find out is, we're going to go and try and sell into enterprise when we've been selling to funded startups. And it's like, okay, they actually describe the problem that we solve in a completely different way. They recognize in a different way. They're looking for slightly different solutions. So you're kind of suddenly speaking in two languages. The sales pitch that you used to have isn't the one that's going to be effective for this new segment. What's more, the sales process, actually how they buy and your ability to navigate that sales process and understand it. Who are the champions? Who are the stakeholders? How does procurement work? Even things sometimes like contracts. Suddenly you've got to get something through legal that's going to be completely different. So if you're, I think these are sometimes the things that are missed just because of what might look attractive on paper from a marketing point of view. Like, there's this 500 companies here that we could suddenly start trying to email or contact via LinkedIn. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a short and easy process. I think depending on where you are and how much you've niched down in the past, I think you could actually do the opposite. And then the amount of time spent, trying to sell into a segment that's not actually good for you, and then realizing that 6 months down the line actually exacerbates the problem, rather than kind of, as you say, doubling down and focusing on the things that do work and trying to leverage, your closer network within that segment that you've been focused on.
Yeah, someone told me the other day that chaos comes described as opportunity. Wow. And we sometimes also forget that, particularly as founders, we get very excited about opportunities all the time. And whereas our team and our processes do not get excited by new opportunities.
Yeah. That's very well put.
It needs to be very, very carefully considered. And obviously the worst time to consider such things is when a business might be under stress.
Yeah. I think a lot of this, from what I've seen, stems from, the access to data and the tactics used. So it's very tempting if you're using something like Apollo or called LinkedIn, that you can go, oh, but look, there's this whole segment with another 500 accounts, another 1,500 people. We can just start emailing them. Like the ease of nowadays of kind of, let's say, going after that segment seems to be relatively easy. I think what it's always kind of interesting to ask yourself is, well, are you willing to do all the other things, the hard things? We've talked about lots of different segments that we could go into before, but is that going to energize you and your team? Is that, going to be a good fit for your product, your service, for the goals that you have over the next year? Are you going to go to those conferences? Are you going to join that association? Are you going to be able to speak that language that they speak? If the answer is no to lots of those things, then I think ultimately it's a bad exercise, and most of the time you'll waste a lot of energy going after it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cool. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next episode.